Are we not sure it's pronounced Facebookland?
Facebookland. I'll give everyone a couple seconds just to
Sure.
realize that we're actually live here.
Yeah,
We're
that reminds
actually
me.
live. This is crazy. This is actually happening. All right. I can also flash my photo if they want to see my photo.
Flash.
Savior of the universe. All right. We are here. How's it going, everybody? This is Joe Carabeo.
And this is Dylan Cuesta.
And this is ASTRAY Live Talk Cinema. Talk Cinema. Does that mean we're movie snobs, Dylan? That we talk cinema and not movies?
Well, I'm going for a French Nouveau look with my hair right now, so I would like to think I'm living up to those credentials right now.
What are you drinking, dude?
Nothing?
You about to get crazy today.
But we're going to talk art. It's the time to get turned.
It's the perfect time to get turned up. Let's see if I can share this onto the ASTRAY Productions page real fast. We can do this thing real fast. You know, I always got to do the promotion. Boom. Already on it. All right. So before we get started, so yes, today Dylan and I are going to be talking about our favorite movie shots or favorite movie scenes.
Yeah, they might bleed into each other a little bit.
We had, it's a shot scenes. Let's see what happened. The first thing I want to do is make sure everyone goes to let's see, not this Facebook page, but to the Joe Carabeo or ASTRAY Productions page. Go over there and click out and check out my newest film, Delete. You just go to films and you go Delete. You click it to win it, and then boom, it will show up any second now. Pop, there it is.
Click it to win it. What do I win?
I don't know what you win. But yeah, go over there, check it out. That's my newest film. That's what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is, man.
Mm-hmm.
Put my volume down on my phone, so I am paying attention to anything that's happening on Facebook. If you guys have a question, we are at a 20-second delay, but I'll see something. Something, and I'll see what happens.
By the looks of it, we've currently got one viewer.
Yeah,
and I would like to thank.
Yeah.
How's it feel to know that you're watching you?
That's right. But I'm paying attention. We're seeing what happens. But this thing will be on forever. So let's get into it, Dylan. Wait, Dylan, do you have a website or anything you want to show people before we get going?
For those who care, I happen to have a YouTube channel where I do commentary on various things. Sometimes it's movies, sometimes it's music, sometimes it's just random pop culture that's very niche to my generation's new media YouTube nonsense. So youtube.com/Lanuski. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram.
Cool.
Wow. I didn't even rehearse that. It just came out of me.
That's what happens, man. When we do this every single week, you just spit it out.
Should make a song for it, make it a little more digestible.
Okay, so what are we here to do today, Dylan?
Well, we're going to talk about some of our favorite shots in cinema. Now, it's quite an art form. You can go decade by decade, genre by genre, director by director. And by doing that, you can find a lot of underlying trends in terms of execution, style, the methodology behind certain shots. A lot can be compressed into an image in a narrative sense based off of how you compose the various parts of your movie. Let's say if you want to make something seem scarier, you can shoot it from a low angle that makes it seem larger than life, more foreboding. Or if you want someone to feel like insignificant, say something like Lawrence of Arabia, where you got a bunch of humans in a desert that's so large and massive that it doesn't actually care about you. You just have a tiny little person on the screen surrounded by a vista of sand and heat. So yeah, those two and everything in between. That's the power of cinema, the visual story.
All right. So so just like me, I can't really decide on a single favorite shot.
Me neither.
That's simply impossible. And also I haven't seen every single movie out there. So I did what I usually do, and I just draw from pure instinct and just held on to the things that I couldn't escape my head when I was thinking what were my favorite shots. So I have at least shots or scenes, really.
Right.
Because it's tough for me to think of like what is my favorite shot, because also it's like, is that a single image? Is that a single frame? How did you define this theme that we're talking about today?
Uh, it really does come down to a frame or a held continuous shot that sticks out in my mind. A lot of my favorite movies are edited in a way where there's several gorgeous shots that are strung one after another, so
Yeah.
it could bleed into a scene. I happen to pick out a few that either do that or are so uh, extendedly held, like as a shot, that okay, this is about 20 seconds to 30 seconds of pure art.
Okay, so I didn't do that. I just chose the scenes that stuck in my head.
Nice.
They have good frames in it,
Hmm.
but I was like, these are the scenes that, like, really what I did was I chose scenes that inspired me to be a filmmaker. I was like, when I saw these scenes that, well, maybe we could go back and forth. It made me realize, dude, I want to do that.
Yeah,
And
sure.
this is the reason why this is obviously cool, but there was something beyond that made me feel like I need to make movies because this thing is this I don't know is I don't know the
This is where
presentation
it's at.
or just it connected with me or just made me realize I need to be a filmmaker, and this is one of the scenes that did that. So
Right
how do you
on.
want to start this? You want to go
Um,
me? You want to go you? You want to do our
since
paper
we're
scissors
already
rock?
sharing your screen, I guess we could just start with your first one, and then we can have our own little exchange
Well, you can
based
share
off of
your
that.
screen. You can do yours. Yours is engaged.
Can we do it simultaneously?
I don't know. Let's try. And I don't know if we can do side. We can do
I don't
side
think
by
we
side.
should do it simultaneously.
I know we could do
We
Look,
could
you go.
try.
You go first. You go first. People have been seeing my face like all week. They haven't seen your face in
Oh, that's
months.
true. Yeah, I forgot that this never actually stops.
Oh, we're seeing your screen. This is crazy.
Yeah, this is wild, isn't it? So my first one is it's quite an expected choice for those who know me, but I couldn't not put it in just because I think it's
What, Snickers?
yeah. If you pay close attention to Adam Driver Light, when he eats it,
All right, here we go.
so this is one of the most iconic scenes in any movie, but it's also quite arguably the most iconic scene in the entire Star Wars saga because
And
it
also, hold on one second. I know for a fact when people watch this live,
uh,
it's gonna be slightly bit choppy on the
yeah.
video. So just go look it up on the
Yeah,
link
sure.
up top too.
I mean, I'll pause it once I get to
Yeah, yeah.
um yeah, but this is Star Wars like put into its purest essence, that being the call to adventure, the call to bigger and better things outside of the farm boy life. And it's such a powerful image and such a powerful fusion of sight and sound that if you hear the John Williams music outside of the context of watching the movie, you can in all likelihood
Is your
picture Luke looking
is
at
your
two
sound is your
frickin'
sound
suns.
engaged?
It is, but I don't think it's being fed directly to my. Can you hear that?
Wait, go out, unshare again real quick, and you can engage that. Did you click the engage button?
I think
Like when you try to share, and there's like a
infernal machine. Oh,
you got to go back out again. You got to go back out again. I want to
oh,
hit
I
this
see.
focus if I can.
Gotcha. Oh no, they're gonna see all my personal information.
Yeah, then
Okay.
go back to share screen. I think on the bottom left there's like a
Oh, share computer.
yeah
Oh, metal.
yeah.
For those watching at home, you're gonna get a masterclass on how to do cool things at the same time. So,
Hopefully, let's see what happens.
oh, my computer froze. To share your for friggity frong. Pardon my French.
Did we disappear?
No, it's just asking me to give.
Did we lose you?
The whole thing's in shambles. Did
There
you
we
lose?
go. I hear the audio.
But you don't see anything.
No, I see it. I see it.
Okay, great, perfect.
All right, go ahead, talk.
Um, Mark Hamill's cute.
No, that's perfect. It's perfect level.
Yeah.
Right there. Keep that.
So, yeah, like as I said in the last recording that we did, Star Wars is like the reason I do what I do. I've had many a favorite things since Star
Drop it
Wars.
down just a little bit.
But yeah, like this is when I think of movies and things that I want to make, like by the time I kick it, I want something that kind of taps into that pure human sense of adventure in a similar way that Star Wars did, and it did it very well just because it was inspired by Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces, the hero's myth. And I feel like you can sum up a lot of those themes and a lot of those universal mythologies with a shot like this. Like, I don't want to do my chores. And then you got this classical expression laid underneath with two suns. Like, it would be dramatic enough with one sun, but in this movie, you get two suns. They're each a different color. Two for the price of one, only on Tatooine. Property, sell. But yeah, that's my first shot.
Sweet. I love that. And, click that off real quick. So have you seen the movie THX? You saw THX,
oh yeah,
right?
I've seen it a couple times.
So because he has sort of that similar shot, like a type of shot, like at that
I know what you're
end.
talking about. Yeah, one of the last ones.
And that always made me think of like when George Lucas did that shot, he was like, how can I top that? Two suns.
Two suns.
Two suns. Rising above two suns.
In the first one, I just had a car chase, and then I decided, no, well, what if we put two suns up? You wouldn't even need the car anymore.
that is great. That is like, I would say that's one of the greatest images, that tells the whole story, like right there.
Yeah. Before you get to the Death Star or any of the other characters, you get like the gist immediately. You know what you're in for the next 2 hours.
When did you see that? When did you watch Star Wars?
This is going to be sentimental and adorable to say this. The first time I remember seeing Star Wars was at your parents' house.
What?
When I was a wee baby boy.
I don't even remember watching that.
Because I was a child and dumb and like 2, my favorite thing at the time was Toy Story. That was like my Disney movie that I would watch all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, because your brain doesn't work any other way when you're a kid, you're like fixated on that one thing. It's like, oh, this is also that. So I saw C-3PO and I'm like, oh, look, it's Woody. And then I saw R2-D2 and I was like, oh, it's Buzz Lightyear.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And now they're both owned by the same company. So I'm basically psychic.
It's funny because when I grew up so my brother was really into Star Wars. So like just naturally my natural rebelliousness was to be like, I don't like Star Wars.
Rebellion. That's ironic.
Yeah. But then I always remembered like Obi-Wan's head being chopped off. That's like one of the memories I remember. It's like they're looking out in the back of the Falcon, and like Obi-Wan gets like his head chopped, but they don't see his head.
No, his cloak falls to the floor, which is like,
but I'm like, oh, his head got chopped off. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's my turn, right? That's a good one. I like that a whole lot.
Yeah.
So, one of my favorite films, not even my favorite films, one of my favorite shots, I could not actually get what's it called? A YouTube link or anything to show it. And it comes from the movie M. Night Shyamalan's Signs.
Ooh, yeah.
There's actually a lot of great everything in that movie. I stand up for that movie all freaking day long. I
have yet to see it in full, but the shots that I have seen, like it's a polarizing movie from what I understand, but like visually it's very appealing. I wouldn't mind watching it just strictly from how pretty it is.
It's funny, it is very appealing visually, but the shot I wanted to show you was not even like a visual thing. It was an idea which I didn't even know you could do. And it blew my mind, because by then, when when Signs first came out, I just first started film school. It's like, when was it, 2000 or something like that? 2001? I'm not good with dates.
Around that time.
Yeah, around that time. So I just started film school. So I had like these ideas of like, you got to be Spielberg, you got to be this, you got to be that. And then when I saw, I'm not really like, my type of films isn't like, I mean, not saying like Star Wars, I never really wanted to make Star Wars, which is is crazy, because that's Star Wars is awesome, but I just am naturally like a minimalist, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, you gravitate towards like the grittier, more like
like
salt
film
of the
noir,
earth,
like
style
crime
stories.
Like I grew up on crime.
Like there's no better way to put it.
Yeah. But then that gravitated towards like, I loved Sin City when the comic came out, and that was like really minimalistic, abstract. So just naturally I'm like, okay, cool, I've seen these movies, I love Batman, I love The Dark Knight, it's Frank Miller world. But when M. Night, when I saw Signs, that blew me away, because it was such it was visual, but it was so minimalistic in the way it was trying to scare you.
Mhm.
But there was so much that was done with sound
Oh,
that
yeah, sure.
blew me freaking away. You know, one of my first gigs in filmmaking and film production was a sound guy. And so when I was watching Signs, I was like, dude, he's using audio as a weapon, as a legit weapon. So the sign, I'm just gonna play the clip of the movie behind me. Um, but the scene that I wanted to talk about that they didn't have was literally the moment in which they thought they locked, well, the moment when they boarded up all the windows. For people who don't know, Signs is an alien invasion movie by M. Night Shyamalan. And I'm a massive fan of War of the Worlds. I love when
Yeah.
aliens try to take over the world.
And it's a very it's kind of like at the opposite end of the sci-fi spectrum of Star Wars, because it's just like, oh, we're just chilling. It's like modern day. Oh, by the way, we're all gonna die now.
Yeah. I I don't know. I'm at home with that for some reason. But
No, that's fine.
there's a scene that takes place when they boarded up all the windows with their wood and stuff like that, trying to like block themselves off from the alien invasion that's happening.
Mhm.
And then I think it was the son that realizes, I forget the name of the dog. Maybe it's Isabel or something like that. Um, but he's like, "Oh, we forgot to bring in Isabel," and all of a sudden they're all standing like in the hallway in front of their doorway, like in next to the stairs, and they all just like they hear like Isabel like barking, right? And then the camera pans, probably doesn't even pan, but basically the camera just does a slow pan towards the wall, and it's
Oh,
just a
yeah, yeah.
blank
I've seen
wall.
this shot.
Yeah, and you just hear Isabel bark, and then you just hear the alien go "Rah, rah, 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 rah," like that, and, then, and you're just looking at an empty wall. And
Mhm.
I saw that, and I was like, "This is freaking amazing! This is the best special effect I've ever seen in my life because it's in my mind."
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
just like it's literally just a pan of their living room wall, and I was just like, "Holy crap! This is so this that blew my mind." At that moment, I was like, "I want to be a filmmaker, so I can make stuff that's sort of shocking, like shocking like that." I don't know how to best describe it, but if you guys haven't seen Signs, they also have this badass scene where it's really quiet. Yeah, it's really wait. So let me rewind it. So literally, he's having a heart to heart talk, and he sees an alien or something, a creature, right? He sees something. He sees something on the freaking ceiling, dude, on the top of the roof, man. Heart to heart talk with his daughter. He's like, I don't know what's happening, stuff like that. Looks up out the window. Boom. I don't know what that is. We don't know it's an alien at that point. That stuff blew my mind too, because you don't really. It's a pure mystery.
Is that Joaquin Phoenix?
It's Joaquin Phoenix, man.
Oh my God, this is my
Oscar
favorite
award-winning
shot of all
Oscar
time
Joaquin
now.
Phoenix.
What a twist.
But like, I love the idea of space, like using space, like
Mhm.
from inside of a window or inside of a room to outside. Like there's story in between the space, and the fact that if something's on the roof, like you
Mhm.
hear the sound and they're chasing something that you don't really see, but they can assume what they're doing. Like all those ideas, that itself opens itself so many freaking ideas. Because Mel Gibson and Phoenix's character is already defining the stories in their life by
Mhm.
saying like, no, it's the Jonas Brothers. No, it can't be. Like telling that. So like you already get a bit of like what's happening,
Do this or what?
but you don't
No,
know.
I'm not.
We don't know as
All
an
right, you won't
audience
be
what
stealing
that is
something in the
yet.
house
So
next time.
this is one of my favorite scenes. Look at a
On the count of
freaking
three.
simple light
One,
told
two,
so much a story.
three.
Ah! I'm insane with anger! We're gonna
And it defines both of those characters. So simple thing, like something just.
We're gonna tear your head off! I'm losing my mind! It's time for an ass whooping!
I don't know. So that's just like sort of the tip of the iceberg of that whole movie, at least for me. And that's why I love Signs. That's why I love those scenes in that movie, and that's why I love that one scene that I couldn't find a link to. But just the use of sound and character was so strong in that movie, and I loved it so much. But yeah, so there's
I
that.
can dig it. I want to watch that movie, but moreover, I want to take that last little bit we just saw and create an endless loop of saying, "I'm enraged. It's time for an ass
I'm out of
whooping.
my mind.
Gonna rip your head off. I'm losing my mind."
I stand by Signs so much, man. I stand by that movie so much.
I know plenty of people who do.
I
So
don't understand. People. Let's if we're gonna dig into it. It's like people are like, oh, they went to a planet with water. You know, I mean, come on,
if
man.
it's like little plot holes, which is such a broad term at this
Is it
point,
a
I don't really
is it
mind.
a
I think
is
it
it a
has
plot
more to
hole?
do with it being M. Night. But at the time, he was like the up and coming dude. Like that was the movie that put him on the map, right?
Yeah, that was movie number 3. Well, I mean, it wasn't the one that put him on the map. That was like, I believe,
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense,
Yeah.
and then Unbreakable sort of kicked him off the map, even though it was an amazing movie.
I hear nothing but good things about Unbreakable.
Yeah.
So
All right. So yeah. So everyone go check out M. Night Shyamalan's Signs and just pay attention to those things. I know I'm acting
Yeah.
like a film teacher, though I swore never to be one. But yeah. So
I'm actually going to pick something that's in a similar ballpark thematically because one of the defining traits of this particular movie, like you said, is going for a psychological approach, showing not that much, but implying so much of what could happen to our beloved characters. I have a shot. The end. Um, I have a shot from Steven Spielberg's Jaws. Now, spoiler alert, you do eventually see the shark at about the halfway point.
if you guys haven't heard,
Yeah, there's the shark and it eats people. I don't know if you've heard of this movie, but
wait, well, before you say anything, thinking about it now,
Mhm.
Jaws is such a badass title.
It is, man. It really is.
I think like a movie really needs like a good title, and I think having just like a one syllable, like just that strong, just a strong
Yeah, like
Jaws.
Duel or
Yeah.
Alien. Well, Alien's technically 3, but it's one word. And yeah, Drive. There's a lot of monosyllabic movie titles. You're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, this is a gorgeous movie with plenty of like amazingly composed shots, and I think it would be a disservice not to mention ones like, let's say the boat sinking, or just like the open water with people like just waiting for something to happen, and it's such a wide space, and the shark could come out from like any point in the screen. But there's just something so primal and terrifying when Brody's eventually facing off with the shark, and you finally get this side by side with the frickin' thing after like the whole movie of like little glances at him. But it's when he's finally in full on old man in the sea mode, and he's just like stabbing this thing with the harpoon. It's like a toothpick. Oh, it's wild. And like,
It's like a caveman battle.
no, exactly. Like you had
Yeah.
all this technology earlier in the film with like Quint and Hooper. Now it's like the dude who's most afraid of the water trying to kill this thing by himself using the most primitive means possible. And on top of that, I think, this might be an unpopular opinion, I think the shark not looking all that realistic in air quotes is actually one of the film's greatest strengths, because this is, for all intents and purposes, a monster movie. This isn't like a regular shark. It's a massive, massive shark with a higher intelligence level than like most big fish in the ocean, I would wager. So the fact that it also has like this artificial mechanical quality makes it even scarier, especially once he's like munched into a couple of a-holes and has blood all over him. But yeah, I really love the climax for Jaws. Like even like shots like him aiming down the barrel of his gun, stuff like that is just like racking up tension with every cut, and the rhythm of all the shots together by Verna Fields is like one of my favorite examples of editing as a video editor. But yeah, just oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. I love Roy Scheider as well. He's one of my favorite actors from the 70s.
This makes it the what? This is the second Spielberg film, then, right?
Well, the first one was Lucas.
Oh, that's right.
Um,
They're all pals.
yeah, they
They're all pals.
really, they're all good friendos. Yeah, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I would say overall my favorite shots tend to be, or my favorite films tend to be from the 70s. And I've tried to figure out why. It's partially just based on the fact that that was around the time where I was really solidifying the idea of being a filmmaker when I started like watching a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Um, in a lot of ways, the 70s are kind of where we reached the apex of filmmaking technology as we understood it at the time, like pre-computer revolution and all that. Like we got about as far as we could with the mechanics of camera, tripod, actor, set. Now, obviously, we've had like other innovations, like well, one of them I'm actually going to cover in my next example, but we'll get there. Stuff like Inuritu, Industrial Light and Magic, just like really silky smooth shots that get emotion that wasn't really possible beforehand just because the counterbalancing tech wasn't there yet. Um, but I really like the grit of the 70s. I think we talked about like how Scorsese's gangster movies and a lot of stuff from that time have like a lot of grime and
Yeah.
dirt and real feelings underneath. But yeah, Jaws is similar in that regard, even though there's a big freaking shark.
It's always incredible to think about it, though, if you think of, because Scorsese, like New York, and Spielberg, California, right?
Mhm.
Where's Lucas from? Lucas from California?
I think so. Yeah, and he came from a teenage race car driving background, and then he
Very,
crashed and almost died, and was like, "Oh, maybe
see,
I should
that's
find a different hobby."
that's a unique thing to think about, just as like an artist, or just as a filmmaker in general. It's like your upbringing and everything
Mhm.
around you, it does influence what you make, you
Yeah,
know?
Spielberg was a World War II buff from a family of World War II buffs, and
Yeah.
him and his dad used to make like home movies with his friends and stuff, like
part of me
pretend
makes these
battles.
part of me makes me sort of sad, because I'm like, oh, am I never gonna get that street grit, because like I didn't come from the streets, stuff like that. It's like, but you got to be, I guess as a creative, you just got to be honest with what you are, what you make.
Yeah, totally.
I guess so. My next film in that same regard is, I'm gonna do my, I guess, well, not ranking it, but like my second one is from it's from the movie called The Apartment, from one of my favorite, he might be the third one in my top three of directors, of Billy Wilder.
Mm.
um that guy has influenced me. He was one that, when I first saw The Apartment, is again when I realized I need to be freaking making movies, because this is so Frank Capra, right?
Oh yeah, I know Frank.
So I always looked at Billy Wilder as sort of like the gritty, slightly underground, like Frank Capra, because Frank Capra, you have like the happy ending, you know what I mean, the Hollywood ending style,
Mhm.
just like, classic. I'll assume Frank Capra is in like the classic Hollywood.
Mhm.
But then
No, that's fair.
you look at the same time, you had Billy Wilder, who was taking the left turns with the characters, you know what I mean? And that was really appealing to me. I've never even heard of him until it was The Apartment. And trying to find what makes it so great is, I don't know, his dialogue is amazing, and his use of props. That's why this scene. I have to talk about it. I have to talk out loud before I realize why I chose this scene.
Preach.
So one of the things I love doing is the way people use props. I'm not a CGI person, but like I love the way that Billy Wilder used props.
Sure.
Props told the story. If you guys can see in a lot of my films, at least there's props are used all over the place. If I don't have a budget for lots of special effects, in which I usually don't, props are all over the place. And there's a scene in The Apartment where, do you know the movie The Apartment? I'm not sure if you've seen it before.
I haven't. It's at the upper crust of the list for sure.
So The Apartment is amazing because it's sort of a left turn of what you'd expect it to be. It's basically a guy in a office setting who's trying to move up in the ranks. So what he does is he lets his executives use his apartment to, I guess, go through with their affairs, right? And at the same time, he has a big crush on the elevator lady. Back then in the 60s, or whenever this age was, they had ladies who controlled the elevator and stuff like that. So he had a crush on the elevator lady, who people have affections for too, but this was like his main squeeze, not main squeeze, but the main person he had a crush on. And he thought he was going somewhere, with that. He's like, oh, we're getting somewhere. And lo and behold, they have a run in his apartment, because she ends up being one of the main bosses, the top tier guy, his sort
Uh-oh.
of affair chick too. So you have this sort of you have this sort of triangle that's happening. I thought it's a freaking amazing story. It's there's a lot of depth to it, and it blew my mind. I'm like, wow, they're making this level of story in this studio system. You know what I mean? Because you expect like just soft, what was the genre called? I forget what it was called. I'm not good with that. You know what I'm saying? It was just like the romantic.
Oh, sure. Rom-coms, melodramas.
Yeah, melodrama. Like you would expect, like, oh, melodrama. But man, this movie blew my mind. And there's a scene here which I'm gonna try to share it here. We get off of Signs, and this is Billy Wilder. This is like classic, like 60s style too, man. It looks like it's black and white. It looks freaking amazing.
I love black and white.
And take off your hat.
Well, as a matter of fact, I was rather hurt.
Classic
stood me up.
This to it. But you wouldn't expect like what they do.
I forgive you.
Well, you should.
So this is the holiday party. This is one of my favorite scenes. This is one of my favorite
uses on him because you're having
props.
another date with another man. You did the only decent thing.
I'm gonna afford this so we get right.
Machines and punch
So he
rules
gives a
and square
tour.
holes.
Look, another great shot.
How
This is
many
a big
drinks did
studio.
you
You
have?
see so much action, so much depth in the
Wait a
frame.
minute, I
What's
think
happening?
the sound of running water.
It really feels alive for sure.
Yeah, feels also another use of prop.
Hi.
Another use of prop. Glasses,
I'm the
prop.
branch manager from Kansas City. I beg your pardon? I'm Miss Olson, Mr. Sheldrake.
It's just like another way. Glasses.
So you don't have to
it's like
play
a
with
two
me.
It's
different
an
characters.
extension of character.
Exactly.
Branch manager from Seattle. 4 years ago.
We'll get to the point.
That
So
was
he's
gorgeous. I love that depth of field in that one shot.
so basically at this point in the story, look at that, amazing, all background set. So now she's feeling down because like she's hearing news that her crush is not actually her. So she is the one that is sleeping with the president, I guess the president of the company, who's supposed to be divorcing his wife. But then that lady just told her that she's not, that the husband is not, but the husband didn't tell her. So now she's feeling down. But because of all that, because of all his good deeds, Baxter is getting a raise, so he gets his own office. So now he's feeling high in the dumps, and he doesn't know the background that's happening.
I guess I made a boo-boo, huh?
I like it.
Really? You wouldn't be ashamed to be seen with somebody in a hat like this?
Of course not.
Maybe if I wore it a little more to one side. How's that? Is that better?
Much better.
Well, since you wouldn't be ashamed to be seen with me, how about the three of us going out tonight? You, me, and the bowl.
He doesn't know what's going on.
We'll
So
stroll
there's
down
all
Fifth
these
Avenue,
different
sort of
layers.
break it in.
This is a bad day for me.
Oh, I understand.
She was
Christmas
happy, but now
family
she's
and all
sad
that.
because she got the news.
I better get back to my elevator. I don't want to be fired.
There's something,
worry about
there's a
that. I got
prop
a
here
bit
that I
of influence
really,
now.
really love.
You know Mr. Sheldrake?
Sheldrake,
Why?
that's the boss.
He and I are like that.
Gotcha.
Sent me a Christmas card. See?
Another use of prop. Christmas card. Him and the family that she's supposed to be breaking
It's a
up.
cute picture.
Oof. He doesn't
I
know.
thought maybe I put in a word for you. Would
He
Mr.
doesn't know.
Sheldrake get you a little promotion? How would you like to be an elevator starter?
I'm afraid there are too many girls around here.
And
with
also that
seniority
haircut.
over
Come on.
me.
Right? Oof. Swoon.
Discuss it sometime over the holidays.
I love
Shirley,
Jack
Shirley
Lemmon.
MacLaine, man. She was born in Richmond.
I think so. Here.
All right.
You don't think it's still
This
a
is the
little
most
too
important
much? I mean,
prop,
after
a
all, this is
mirror.
conservative firm.
Her
I would
personal
think
mirror.
Come and entertain.
It's cracked.
Whoa!
Someone pause it there.
What's the matter?
Oh, no. I'm going to let it go.
The mirror, it's broken.
Yes, I know. I like it that way. Makes me look the way I feel.
Oh, shit! That's why I love it, man. Nothing was happening like that back then.
Uh-huh.
Makes me look how I feel. The mirrors, there's just scene upon scene, but the usage of props, man, that freaking blew my mind because, like, I don't know. I can't really rely on I can't really recall many movies these days that are just I don't know. It was so inspirational for me to see.
Yeah, like little micro actions in an otherwise ordinary. Oh, we're going through an office, but no, let's load it up with extras. Let's have them make these little physical choices with certain props, and then
Just that, but like it was at that moment where I was like, dude, this movie's freaking badass. This scene is amazing. Like, what's wrong with your mirror? It's broke. I like it like that. Makes you look like how I feel. Damn, dude. It's freaking 1960.
nah, if you accelerate it to like 40 years into the future, that's like a soap opera line. But if you say it in that particular moment in time, it's suddenly like.
Yeah, I love that scene. That's one of my favorite scenes, like of all time. Just that movie's as we talked about last week, that's my number one favorite movie of all time. So
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Billy
it's been
Wilder.
in high regard from a lot of people. So I definitely need to, I just need to watch more Wilder as well.
Wait,
Who did?
if you think about Wilder, what's great about Wilder is you think of all the great sort of like starlets, the icons.
Right,
Shirley
right.
MacLaine is great. She's awesome one. Audrey Hepburn. Billy Wilder started
Mhm.
with Audrey Hepburn.
Who did Some Like It
Bi-
Hot?
Billy Wilder. With
Okay, great. I've seen that.
freaking all also like, Sunset Boulevard. He was one of the front runners of film noir, so he was on there.
He had that like razor edged, sexy crime aesthetic
But also
ahead of
like
the game.
his dialogue. So this is it's also a connection of what my next one will be, and my next to last one is his dialogue is so sharp. He is so sharp with that. It's like I feel like when people don't have I've been trying to like instigate this in my newer films, but just the importance of just that dialogue that's like memorable and important that you have to listen and you have to watch. Like that's what movie cinema is like it's watching and listening. You know what I mean? Just make both of those equally as important.
Unless you're deaf, then you got to read.
Exactly.
But you want to give something good to read. So yeah, I guess I'll do mine next. So we've got I really did load up on the 70s. But this one's much more optimistic. I dare say that this film is optimism.
What do you mean? Your last ones were optimistic?
Made flesh. Oh, no, for sure. I mean the moment itself. The first one was, man, there's got to be something else out there. The second one was, I don't want to be eaten. The third one is, yo, life's looking up. Let's make cool shit happen.
Lower that telescope black.
The film that popularized new means of getting silky smooth shots in your project. Like if you go through Philadelphia and you pass by those stairs, you're gonna get off. It's such an iconic moment for like, I mean, movies for all time for sure, but like every sports drama that's been made after this has tried to, in some form, replicate the energy you get from like metaphorical rising above your insecurities and fears.
Someone gave us a heart. As soon as you flashed that, I can't tell who it was, but someone gave us a heart.
I'll take that heart. You know what? You know what else has heart? Rocky. Rocky is all heart. But this was the film that first made popular use of the Steadicam. So they like actually clamped the vest on the dude as he was like running up the stairs and everything.
Lower the volume just a little bit. Other way. Go down.
Gotcha.
Right there.
Sorry, I forgot I had it on full blast. But no, for many people that's like the grand statement on the human spirit, like in visual form.
We got another heart.
I think I'm gonna load up the rest of my list with just Rocky sequels. It's in regards to the franchise itself. They had like identical montages throughout the series using the same song. You know, the rhythm of the cuts is the same because the song is the same. In the second one, they just had him run through, I think it was Central Park with a sea of children chasing him. Then in the third one, it was him and Carl Weathers like running in slow motion on the beach and like play fighting with each other. It was very Top Gun before Top Gun. But no, I love this shot because it's like, this was a low budget film. Nobody had any idea how huge it was going to be. No one believed in Stallone. What better way to just like put the cherry on top of your dream American success story than one of the most motivational and influential shots of all time? Like ever since then, we've had so many smooth shots made possible because of the technologies popularized by the Steadicam, to the point where now we've got dollies that are basically operated by robots, and you get shots like those in The Revenant that are like stupidly smooth over like really rocky terrain. I said rocky. I didn't mean to say it.
It makes sense though, Dylan. It makes sense.
What would you say is your favorite Rocky movie?
My favorite Rocky.
I go back and forth between this one and Creed, and yeah, I do count Creed.
I haven't even seen Creed yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dog. It's pretty up there. Like, I hold Rocky 1 in high regard, about as high as the other movies I've talked about so far. But like Creed,
Unshare the page real quick, or clear up.
oh sure. Yeah, Creed it plays off of a similar visual language and musical language, but it totally updates the aesthetic so it fits the main character, because it's no longer Rocky's story. It's like a different character who's like from I mean, it's in the name. His lineage shows like royalty in the boxing world, but he wants to like get his own name. So there's like that extra punch and grit to it. There's another pun.
Have you watched did you watch any Robert Rodriguez director's chairs?
A couple of them a long time ago.
Christy Bancroft says Creed 2 is a roller coaster.
I still haven't seen the second one.
If you haven't seen because Sylvester Stallone has his director's chair with Robert Rodriguez, and it's really awesome. He talks about Rocky 1 and all the different twists and turns about like the story.
I imagine Rodriguez would have some interesting questions just because they come from like a similar background of, all right, we have a shoestring budget. How do we make something that's awesome?
Yeah. Which is what Rodriguez does.
And that's all he ever does. Like, even when he's making like a really like popularist, I need to make money off of this type of movie, he still approaches it the same way.
I would for some reason Rocky 1. I love Rocky 1 because not for some reason, Rocky 1 feels the most romantic to me.
Oh, for sure.
Man, the pet store and the turtle scene. Come on.
The turtle scene. I love turtles. I like turtles.
Like I can't believe, like, it's funny because when I came to revisit Rocky, growing up I saw Rocky, but later on, like, I watched Rocky. You know what I'm saying? Because I came out, people were, everyone in the 80s and stuff were watching it too. But later on, like in my film world, when I'm, focusing on that,
it's one of those movies that gets better with age too, because it's a very adult story of, I'm like this many years through the motions, and what do I have to show for it? Nothing.
Yeah, when I'm 10 and I'm watching Rocky, I just see the fights. But later on, when I'm in my 20s or early 30s, I'm watching Rocky. I remember the turtle, and I remember the
Paulie.
there.
Everything Paulie ever says is hilarious and sad at the same time.
I remember Adrian's hat, and how cold everything was. Those are the details I really love out of that movie. You know what I mean? I love how small Philly feels, like the rooms, not the houses and everything. I love how it just feels.
It feels like Philly.
It feels like Philly, And I think that's one of the things. I think maybe that's why you love the 70s too, because the 70s, like, it felt real. It felt like real films or something like that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but there's a grittiness that felt legit.
People were craving like something different, and the tail end of the 60s you started to get movies like The Graduate or
which
Easy
is great.
Rider. Both great movies, but they really started to explore like darker, more honest territory of what it means to be a person. Like, obviously there's great movies before that time, but they're conveyed in a very classical, like super polished way. But no, you want to go for that. You want to make it dirty.
So
don't quote me on that.
My last shot or scene is from, I would say they're my favorite filmmakers, is the Coen brothers.
Right on.
I could have chosen so many. Like, legit, I could have chosen so many Coen brothers movies.
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, just list the man who wasn't there. Oh my, so many scenes. Like,
even Lebowski's got some bangers.
Dude, Lebowski all freaking day long, man. But even like, No Country for Old Men, I love the shot where you're just looking at the floor, like you see the feet. Like, that's amazing. That's an amazing scene. There's this amazing shot. Like, I can go just every single, like, last 2 weeks ago, I just watched Intolerable Cruelty. Dude, I love, and I'm just like looking at this. I'm like, there's so much just killer freaking dialogue, and Buster Scruggs. There's so many. The Coen brothers are by far my favorite and most influential filmmakers and directors all day long. I remember one of my early films, Old Town, and I made that with my filmmaking partner, the guy made Brian Sarvis, who does gaffing now, but we had made so many films back in the day. He was the one that introduced me or told me about the Coen brothers, right?
Oh,
He was like,
right
"This
on.
is the like do you know about the Coen brothers?" I was like, "No, who are the Coen brothers?" And so we watched one, and I was like, "This is the Coen brothers. This is freaking amazing." He was like, Lebowski and this, that, and this, all these great things. And then what happened was, I went through their whole entire, you go and you watch from the beginning, and I realized that I watched one of my favorite movies from when I first grew up. One of the earliest memories I have of watching movies in general was a Coen Brothers movie. It was the Hudsucker Proxy.
Mhm.
And that's like ingrained in my head about this is what movies are. This is what, like, this is what a movie was. When I was younger, I was like, oh, so it's like that movie, like the Hudsucker Proxy. I was like, so growing up, things started like coming together. Like this is, so you are where you
Full
come
circle.
from. Exactly. So, and then not only that, but I saw like with the Hudsucker Proxy, Sam Raimi was helped out with that movie. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, Sam Raimi, like it's all these things just came together. They have so many shots. They have so many great scenes. They have so much dialogue. So many, like they invented so many things. But to this day, one of my favorite scenes and shots is in the Hudsucker Proxy is the scene in which the two main characters first meet in a diner.
Looks a lot like. Oh, never mind.
So pretty much, I'll break this down to you. So it's Tim Robbins and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Of course, the names escape me because I'm horrible with names. But it's that's the movie itself also has sort of like a Billy Wilder and Frank Capra aesthetic to it.
Kind of seems like their take on it, just from the shots I'm looking at.
So pretty much the story again has a pretty much almost like a similar apartment aesthetic too, but pretty much the company, this big manufacturing company, they needed a fall guy because the president committed suicide, and they needed someone to take his place that would drive the stock down, so they could basically buy it back and bring it back up, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So have you seen the movie Hudsucker?
No, I haven't. And
Okay,
what's
so
even more tragic is I borrowed it from my drama teacher back in the day, and then just didn't watch it.
Yeah, so pretty much, so they chose this new guy who's in the mailroom. They're like, we'll just bring up some nobody and we'll make him the president. He doesn't have any good ideas. And so they chose him, and then he has this one great idea and then just blows up, So it's basically the rise and fall of Tim Robbins' character, which I always forget. Actually, the real story from the beginning is, they said it in the quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but the story is about how did one man fall from the top of the building and live. So that's the whole premise of the story, is how did someone jump off the top of the Hudsucker building and live? And then that's what the story is about. How does that person live? So it was great. But my favorite scene is in this movie is when Amy Archer, I remember her name, Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, she is a journalist that's trying to find the dirt on this guy, trying to find the truth. But she's like an undercover journalist, and she's trying to like get in on her, trying to get the real story. So she tries to swindle her way into his life to somehow, become the inside man, so to speak, the inside woman. And this is the scene where she, wins him over, so to speak. But what I love about this scene is that they did it in such a POV style in the diner. They had basically two guys who are sitting opposite sides of the diner commentate on what's happening in front of them, like they've already seen the story before. Does that make sense?
So far, yeah.
All right, I don't know. We'll watch it. Great, because it's a voiceover again.
Oh, great.
I got gas, Betty.
Yeah? Tell me about it.
Well, no kidding, Betty. I got gas.
You get the special?
Far from it. Enter the dame.
Even
There's
the
one in every story.
performances are like
$10 says she's
old
looking
school.
for a handout.
$20 says not he if she don't find one.
She's looking for a mark.
She finds him
She sits down.
and orders
Cottage cheese, please.
a light lunch. How will she pay for this lunch?
She looks through her purse.
No money.
Mark notices.
So good.
He's not noticing, Benny.
Maybe he's wise.
Well, you don't look wise.
Plan 2. Here come the waterworks.
Yellowstone.
Old Faithful.
Hello, Niagara.
He notices.
She's distressed.
He's concerned.
She explains her predicament and
Enter the light lunch. She's got other problems, of course.
there's illness in the family.
Her mother needs an operation.
Urgently.
Adenoids.
No, Benny. Lumbago.
Oh, that gag's got whiskers on it.
Uh-oh. You ain't liking Benny.
She's losing him, Lou.
He's wise.
He don't look wise.
How does she pull this out?
He's getting away.
She better think fast.
She isn't. She is.
She's good, Benny.
She's damn good, Lou.
Can I get you boys anything else?
Bromo.
Bromo.
Sir, mind was blown. My mind was blown. I love that scene so much, man.
I can imagine why. It's like so close to being a cartoon without being a cartoon all the way.
Yeah.
And those two guys, they're kind of like that Shakespearean comic relief you kind of have, where it's like, oh, we're totally detached from like the story itself, but we're still gonna like show you why everything's funny or tragic or whatever.
I did not know that was possible.
Yeah,
I didn't know you can just bring in another POV. You can have, and also like the characters in the scene are also amazing too. But also it's like there's this other layer of, we know Amy Archer is just doing that as pretend.
Mhm.
So there's that commentary on top of that. Wow, man, it's just people need to love the Hudsucker Proxy even more. There's so much that's great in the Hudsucker Proxy, and to me right now that is my favorite scene. Just if people look in my films, there's so much I've borrowed from that world. Just the fact that we're in a diner. How many things have I shot in a diner, Dylan?
yeah. You're quite the graphic novel comic book fan as well.
Yeah.
And that was also like anything with like a narration, like to
Which is-
begin with, is already kind of like having the boxes or like the thought bubbles. Here
Which
you
is-
have two people out of earshot doing
so
the
weird
same
because
thing.
I was saying like before, like how I used to despise voiceovers.
Right. And then here comes a director to like do it really cool. And you're like, well, I'm just doing voiceovers from now on.
Yeah. I the thing is though, I still haven't done any voiceovers in any one of my films.
We have to change that.
So yeah, so people should check out that. That's my favorite scene of all time. And maybe it might change, but I always remember that. Yeah. So that's all I have.
It's got a lot of zest for sure. Now I need to check out literally all of those.
Yeah. So do you have one more?
I do have one more, and it's
Choose wisely.
oh, you got it.
It's from the Wolf of Wall Street. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you're not far off. I actually did want to make a Wolf of Wall Street looks different than I remember when you were showing me the apartment, because it looked like one of the frickin' stripper parties, but in black and white.
Send to the strippies.
All right, so I've got one from our man Marty, who we covered in the last step. This is a shot.
Put it like in the bottom third.
Yeah,
Third.
you right. There we go.
Oh, no. Put the volume on the bottom third
Oh,
of loudness.
that makes way more sense.
Or also blow loud.
Mhm.
That sounds horrible, but they'll blow loud.
Okay, so we have a classic oneer from Goodfellas where Ray Liotta has just picked up his girlfriend, who just told him this horror story about how one of her neighbors started coming on to her and started roughing her up and mistreating her. Henry Hill, Liotta plays, for those who don't know, was a gangster. Gangsters get violent, especially when you mess with their women. So we have a lot of slow burn setup. He's clearly peeved, as one would be. The difference here being that he is peeved and also has a tiny gun in his car. He gets the tiny gun, puts it in his belt loop, and this shot it was just the definition of cool to me. Everything down to how he's walking, the silence, there's ambience from the neighborhood, and then just see violence in a really, really well handled blood pack too.
If you touch her again, you're dead. Don't shoot.
And I love how every hit from the butt of the gun, it just feels and sounds like a basketball, like bouncing off of a wall.
Yes.
But yeah, you have like this full arc in one shot, so much intensity. Like he's bubbling with just maximum pissitude, and it doesn't erupt until he gets into the other yard. And I just love the combination of slow burn shot, the dolly, and slow burn about to snap performance.
That's like awesome Scorsese too.
Oh, for sure. Like he loves, like this movie alone, he does like the wonder tricks. I don't even know how many times, like where he takes them through the club. There's like all kinds of parties and the stuff towards the end where Henry's like on cocaine and all that. Like there's so many moving pieces in most of the movies he makes. So
what I really enjoyed about because Scorsese does a lot of like, if you don't cut away, it's real. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's really stuff that I really enjoyed off of him, because he does something similar like in Raging Bull, where I think it was in the front, two people were like arguing, and then from the far back you see the De Niro's character come through the door, and then just like I'm not condoning he should smack his wife, but he came in and they just start fighting. Like, whoa, dude! But the fact that you see them from far away come shot, it seems more real. I you know, of course,
knowing what they don't, it kind of goes back to the last shot that we just saw. It's like knowing something that the characters don't as an audience member. Like it kind of gives an extra sense of tension, and there's a bit of like a real world disconnect as well. Just holding on a shot for a long time without cutting, because up to that point you're getting cuts like every couple of seconds, so it kind of normalizes it. So when that suddenly goes away, you're like, you kind of hold your breath a little bit. So that was like one of the first times, because I think I saw Goodfellas when I was in like high school, like maybe my sophomore year, and that was like one of the most intense things I had ever seen in any movie. And that's a film with like a lot of intense moments.
Yeah.
But when you up the real factor, take away the music, have birds chirping, to have dudes working on a car, just make it as everyday neighborhood as you possibly can, and then add the Marty magic, you're not going to forget it. I don't forget this shot.
Yeah. It was a tough battle. I tried to include some Scorsese too, but I'm like, oh man, there's so many awesome scenes.
I know, right?
Try to do. Well, there you go. I guess unless you had any more, but I think that's a good enough. We're rocking this out for about an hour. I thought that was pretty fun, man.
I think it really was tough. I wish I could have gone like maybe a little bit newer, show some love for my newer directors, but at the same time,
maybe next
can't
time.
beat the classics.
Yeah. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, on Facebook. I hope you all enjoyed this. What do you want to talk about next week, Dylan? Unless you have a song. Do you have a song? You have a song prepared? If not, it's okay.
Not prepared, no.
All right.
Oh wait, I can improvise some dissonance. Let's get experimental, Joe. I got this from St. Lucia.
What is that?
This is a handmade malimba. I got it for $15. It was locally made on the beautiful island of St. Lucia. It's not particularly well tuned, but that's part of why I like it. You could shoot a variety of cool, disturbing Lynchian shots with one of these laid underneath.
So maybe what you should do is, while I wrap it up, you can do like the score to the Facebook ending.
Okay.
All right. Start on. Well, it sort of sounds like American Beauty. Hold it closer. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Astray Live Talk Cinema. Hopefully, you know, if you missed part of it, we'll post it on to astrayproductions.com/Astray Live. We'll put this the whole entire Zoom conversation, and I'll put that on the Facebook as well. And we'll see if it lasts. We'll see if it
hopefully.
lasts.
It's been live thus far this entire time, so
who knows?
It went way better than last time.
Yeah, who maybe someone will censor us. Who knows? But what do you want to talk about next week? Do you have anything you want to talk about? What should we think about? We did shots. We did favorite Scorsese.
We could talk about music.
Favorite music?
It could either be, just uses of music, because I know that can divide into score or just like soundtrack. Not everyone scores their own movie, but they compile like really badass like soundtracks. So maybe we could talk about that.
So our
favorite music in films.
So we'll just do music and films.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Cool. Awesome. We'll do that. So next week will be Astray Live Talk Cinema, Music and Films. So
thank you very much for watching / listening, whatever you've been doing.
And my name is Joe.
I'm Dylan.
Be safe. Be sane. See you later.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your hands. Wash your hands. See you later, Facebook.
Peace, guys.
Cool. So that was good. I did see that we're going live, but I did see probably 50 minutes into it. I got a Facebook message saying as soon as after. Dude, they should have blocked us a lot earlier, but they blocked us at least an hour into our show.
Oh shit.
We had a lot of people were viewing into it, but I saw that they at
copyright strike.
But we were still going live.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what it means. But they still got like a whole chunk of that. Like it was really just in the past 5 minutes they blocked us. Or
okay. Well, you're recording externally anyway, though, right?
Yeah. So you guys who are watching the Zoom recording, thanks for paying attention.
Yeah. And we don't know how Facebook works in regards to blocking and reasons to do that.
We were wondering.
Yeah, we're going to learn today, to quote the great philosopher Kevin Hart. A little visual bonus for y'all.
Yeah, you get for you who pay attention to this is the behind the scenes. You're seeing the behind the scenes of our show.
How to make magic.
Yes.
Step 1, grow hair. Step 2, be Joe.
It was fun. It was fun, Dylan. I'll see you next week, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll see you next week. It was good. You have a song prepared next week?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
All right, cool. All right, man. It was good. It was fun.
Yeah, likewise, man. You take care. Don't judge.